Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mike Ferris. Thank you so much for joining me on this. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and also check out the description box below where you can find the colors and materials that I'll be using for this painting, and also to my links down below at Facebook at Ferris Art, and also Instagram where you can see other pieces that I've done, and also where you can inquire about purchasing any art. And if anyone would like to see something in particular painted and see the process on here, go ahead and drop a comment and or maybe a picture that you have in mind, and I'd love to do the painting process on that. So now let's get to the lesson. So starting off, I'm going to get some white gesso here, and I'm just going to put that all over my canvas and roll that out. And the reason I'm doing this is to create what's called tooth on the canvas, and that just creates sort of a rough sort of surface on it because it's for the purpose of pulling the paint off my brush. And I'm not sure if you've ever tried to do something smooth with acrylics, but it can be kind of irritating and annoying when it won't lay down. So getting a rough surface on that for that reason. And now I've got some wax transfer paper now, and I've got my stylus, and I'm just basically going to draw out the basic layout of this surfer in the tube here under the water. And I took this grid, it was like an inch by inch square type of thing, and I just basically drew out the location of where everything should be. And so now that I've got everything on here, I'm going to be starting off, and I've got my palette here with some Pthalo Green, some permanent black, Pthalo Blue, and this is raw umber, and of course my titanium white, which you'll also have in every painting. So I'm just going to mix up some Pthalo Green and this black, and I'm going to sort of create this dull green color here. And so I'm just going to block in some color for now. So now, without cleaning my brush, I've got some titanium white on my brush. Gonna put some bright spots in where the sun's gonna be directly hitting the wave, and just gonna block that in as well. Now picking up some permanent black with that Pthalo Green, getting a little darker now, and I'm just gonna scratch that in for some dark shadowed areas. Now leaving the black out, and I'm going to just do the titanium white and some of that Pthalo Green and go a little bit brighter, and as you can see, it changed the flavor just a little bit more. So I'm going to vary these values of this green, sort of bluish, turquoisey, light and darker, and create the illusion of this wave and its depth and texture, and just play these colors back and forth. So right now we're just in the blocking stages still, and I'm just basically putting the general color of the values as they go. And in that, it's going to differentiate between what's going on and where the wave is, and where the shadows of the wave is, and where the light's coming in directly. And so this is going to create all that. And so just getting everything where it goes, and then building more details on top of that. Now we're going to get Pthalo Blue introduced into here, and so I'm going to make sort of this Payne's Gray, sort of dulled down, really dark color for a shadow underneath the wave, like so. And this is still part of that wave, and so that's going to go down here where I have the line drawn for where that goes. And again, just blocking in the values. And then now down here on the reef, I'm just taking more of that black, and as you can see, there's less blue in it, and as you can see the difference between the bottom of the wave and then the reef here. And so again, just blocking in, and that's going to serve as shadows there. Okay, so now I'm taking some of that Pthalo Blue, Pthalo Green, a teeny touch of that black just to dull it down just a little bit. And then with that, I'm going to come in, say about right here, and this is going to be the underneath part of the wave where the water is, and it's going to have some light and shadow in there to show the wave rolling over it. Now I'm just going to pick up more titanium white with that same color, and I did not clean my brush, and with that I'm just going to brighten up now in the center around this darker part here. So just value here, value there, changing it back and forth, getting it blocked in. So let's see, now it's Pthalo Blue, a little bit of that permanent black. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start blocking in for the guy riding the wave. And we'll say on the surfboard as well, since that's going to be silhouetting against the wave as well. Okay, now going into that Pthalo Green and some of that permanent black, and I want to create this dark green. And as you can see, it's changing the value again. And so this is kind of the start of some of the details on top of the blocking that I've done. But I'm also going to streak in some other values along with these values. And also, as you can see, I'm streaking in these different values of this green now down towards the bottom of the wave, kind of like so. And that tells the eye the direction that the wave is, and that it is actually round and creates that barrel and round looking effect. And so with these other values that I'm going to be streaking in, it's really going to help create that dimension and realism as he's coming down the barrel. And he's probably going to win the Pipe Masters after this. Now I'm going to pick up that Pthalo Blue and that permanent black. And with that, there's going to be a guy right down here, and he's going to be duck diving the wave. So not only does he not want to get crunched by this wave coming at him, but he also doesn't want to get ran over by this dude screaming down the barrel either, as you can see. So this is kind of like watch out for the wave, watch out for the other surfer. So we can't leave him out. And so with that, I'm just going to go ahead and give the indication, and he's going to look a bit more distorted because he's a little bit further away. There's water kind of breaking over him. And so I'm kind of creating a little bit of cloud shadow with the water, as you can see in front like so. And so it may look a little weird now, but when this is done, this will totally make sense. So now I'm getting titanium white, and I put it into some of that Pthalo Green and black mixture. And I want to say that this surfboard he's riding is a white surfboard, but it's going to be reflecting some of the color of the water like so. So I did have to put some of that green in there as well, and it makes it more look like he's in the water. So now I've taken some of that white and that same blue color that we had down here, and now I'm just going to kind of brush that in here and there and create some bright spots here and there. Now I'm going to pick up some more of that Pthalo Green and some of that permanent black again. A little bit of titanium white because I don't want it as dark as some other areas. And I want to stick that kind of behind his board like so, and that indicates a disturbance in the water that shows that the board is actually riding through the water and creating the wake of that. And then up above, there's also this lip or like separation where the barrel is curling over him. And so we're going to have this come in over like so. And just here and there, just like I said, putting the color where it goes, blocking her in. And the more times I do this and the more details I add on top and play this back and forth, the more real and the more dimension it's going to create. And eventually this will just start to become a very nice looking picture. So now titanium white, and as you can see, I made this little triangle up in the upper left part of the wave there, and that just shows a little bit of change in water, and also streaking some more of that titanium white up above where direct light's going to be hitting and showing the sort of transparency of the wave. Now again, taking that darker green with that permanent black and then streaking that here and there up in the bottom of the wave here. So as you can see, it's starting to get more dimension in there. Things are starting to blend together. It's becoming more real looking. And so before I go any further, I'm just going to give it a quick dry with a hairdryer like so. And that's so that the new stuff on top of what I've done doesn't get lost by mixing and blending with the new color and creating just one dull color. So that's the reason there. And so now I'm getting some titanium white, and I'm going to brighten some things up here and there where the direct light's hitting. So now just with plain titanium white, I'm taking my flat brush, and with the corner of it, I'm just going to tap in some of these actions that you see here. This just helps to break up some of the light hitting the wave, and it kind of helps bring in the realistic, look to that water. And just gonna scratch it in here and there and just sort of play these details back and forth until I like what I got. Okay, so now I'm gonna take some of that Pthalo Blue, some of that Pthalo Green, and some permanent black. Just a teeny bit of black. When you put that black in, that thing will take over your whole world if you're not careful. Okay, and then some titanium white to brighten it up, and as you can see, it's this vibrant sort of green color, and I want to just kind of brighten this area up right here. Okay, just a little bit of titanium white, scratching it here and there, changing some values, playing some colors back. And so now I'm taking that turquoise dull color that I made and a little bit of more titanium white, and just gonna kind of put that color in here and there as well and just add some more detail layers. And just put some titanium white right there for a little bit of direct highlight detail there. And I just went and covered it up again just a little bit, but you can still see it, so it look more kind of natural there. So now taking that darker color again with that permanent black and the Pthalo Green, I'm just going up and reinforcing some of these dark areas where some of the shadows are and some of these disturbance actions are going on with the water going everywhere. Okay, now just taking just a teeny bit of titanium white, and I'm just barely gonna scratch that over this figure like so. And as you can see, it looks more natural, like he's actually in the wave and I'm looking at him through the wave. And so that settles him down and makes him more real in that kind of way. Now going back to that dark green color, it's Pthalo Green, a touch of that permanent black. And just gonna scratch that in again, different values, and creating more details. Now I'm grabbing that Pthalo Blue and Green, and this time a little bit more white. I did not put any black in this time. I wanted to really brighten this up and have it more vibrant, and this is going to be this sort of in between where the ocean kind of meets the wave kind of coming towards it, and just kind of gives this bright area right in here. Now I'm going to dab in some of that blue and sort of light color that I put in the bottom there. And I'm just going to put it on top of this shadow wave here and there. Now I'm putting a little bit too much, and I'm not really too concerned about that, because the really cool thing, as I've mentioned before in other videos about acrylics, is that I can take that dark color and I can just go right over that. I mean, knock it right back, and it's like it never happened, and I can knock as much or little as that as I want back and have everything be exactly where I want it to be. So I'm already doing that now. You can see I've taken some of that dark color there and more black in that, and I'm going to go in there and just kind of play that in here and sort of knock some of that blue color in there. And this just kind of helps, again, more of this detail and some of the different light that's somewhat playing in the shadowed area a little bit. Okay, now more titanium white, and there's barely any of that color left. As you can see, it's mostly white now, and this area right here is really bright. And it's just where the direct light is hitting the top of the water that's actually in front of the wave right here. Okay, now I'm grabbing my number 18 flat brush here, and I'm just going to mix up some of that phthalo green, some permanent black into there, a teeny touch of titanium white, and I'm just going to create some of these actions on the reef like so. These are going to be little rocks and coral mixed together, and it's going to be pretty much one heck of a reef. You don't want to get crunched in pipeline on this, man. I'll tell you what, you get sucked down in that, and it's rough, and I'm talking like a meat grinder. So I want to give the impression of this awesome but treacherous reef look. And you really can use any brush you want. I'm using my bigger brush because it just helps save time and covers more ground a lot easier, and I'm using the corner of it where I want the rocks smaller, because I do want them to get smaller as they get towards the top of the reef. And that just gives the impression, of course, that things are getting further away and it's kind of traveling out into the kind of the ocean there. Okay, so now I'll break from the reef, and now I've taken more titanium white. As you can see, I'm just brightening up this area down below underneath the wave like so. Now I'm just taking that same reef color rock here, and I'm going to add a little bit more titanium white to this, and just here and there I'm just going to play that in and have direct light hitting this. Now I'm going to go back over this again. I'm going to knock some of it back with just pure permanent black, and I'll stick some raw umber there at some point. And this is just, again, just playing colors and values back and having highlights to show where the light's hitting this, and the darkers of course are showing the shadows, and this will help create that dimension and depth of the reef. Now I'm going for that raw umber, and this is the first time we're using that. And we did not want to leave him out. Sorry about that raw umber. Not a big part, but I guess it's better than being left out, right? I don't know if you guys talk to your paints, but maybe it might be the paint. Who knows? Anyway, gonna dab some of that in, it's here and there, and just kind of cover over some things. And now going back to that titanium white, phthalo green, and just gonna get some more of these highlights here and there. And again, not covering up everything, as we don't want to lose all the texture there. So let these little other colors and these dark places be your friends and really make that light stuff pop and give that dimension. Okay, so now I'm going to put in some matte medium into this ocean color down below. So it's just phthalo blue, a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of phthalo green, and just a teeny bit of that color, and mostly of this matte medium. And so I'm going to drag that down now over the reef a little bit, and it's going to give the impression of the reef disappearing and going into the deep blue and giving more of that real natural look to it. Now I'm just going to grab pure titanium white and just going to make things as bright as I can possibly get them and streak that in here and there, and that's going to be like where the direct light is hitting. Now going into that phthalo green and mostly permanent black, and just going to streak in these really extra dark shadows and reinforce some of these areas up in the corners. Okay, now just going back to the reef again and taking that same color. I'm just going to hit some highlights here and there. Notice how I'm just barely touching the canvas as it gets towards the top there. It makes it look like things are getting further away. And in that way we're creating some of this dimension here. And now just some permanent black, and I'm going to go ahead and scratch that in here and there and create some of these shadows and just make these things pop a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm taking my script liner brush, lots of titanium white, or sorry, water, lots of water and titanium white. And I'm just going to sign this guy right here. And you really can piddle this thing as long and as much as you'd like. Like I said, the more you do it, the more realistic things get, but you can also overdo it too and cover up nice things. So don't go too far, but that's up to you. As for me, I've got things to do here on the Big Island, so I'm going to call it good here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, guys, happy painting.